Hey, welcome to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast. It's that time of the year where we're going to get some really significant issues that are going to delay what is otherwise a fantastic application. And the top two things that happen are the delayed recommendation and the delayed transcript. So you can go to residency.teachable.com. I don't even think you have to sign up for the course to get it. It's just the very first part of the free course where you can just grab these templates. But I want to go through them and talk a little bit about what you're trying to do and trying to say in them so that you get a gist of what's going on. So the first thing is RPDs are very busy. The more popular the site, the more busy they are, the more crowded their emails are going to be. And just know that residency program director is not an actual job. That is, you don't get hired as a residency program director. It is a responsibility in addition to your job. So that being said, one of the most important things that you can do to make sure this doesn't get lost is the subject line. So make sure in the subject line, whether it's a delayed recommendation or a delayed transcript or nightmare, both, you have put in the subject line your name and what is going on. So you want to put subject residency applicant, and that is your name. So Tony Guerra. And I would say delayed recommendation or recommendations if there's more than one of them. Okay. So Dr. Program Director, my name is Tony Guerra from the University of Potomac River College of Pharmacy. And I understand that I have an recommendation outstanding to your program, and I wanted to update you on this issue. Okay. So you're making clear you know the deadline and that this recommendation is likely going to pass the deadline, right? The first thing you want to do is politely indicate that it wasn't your fault without saying it wasn't your fault. And you're going to do this by saying, I initially requested the recommendation on October 15th of 2024, but life circumstances have made it difficult for my recommender to meet the deadline. So you are not shaming the person. You are just saying you did what you needed to do at a responsible time, plenty of time for the recommender. Something happened to the recommender. You don't need to be specific about it. You don't need to tell them that they went to the hospital, that they're on vacation somewhere, something like that. Just that there was an issue. Okay. And then the last thing is what is going on with the issue? Okay. I've been in touch with them and they indicated they would forward that recommendation on January 2nd, 2025. Or let's say that you found that that person is never going to be able to meet the deadline or is not even going to be able to give you a recommendation. Now it's kind of a worst case scenario, but I've seen it happen. You would say, I have found a new recommender that was willing to provide this documentation. That should actually be a comma. And this will be available on January 2nd, 2025, or whatever it's going to be. I want to apologize for this inconvenience. Sincerely, residency applicant, and maybe your application number or whatever it is. Okay, so with the recommender, just the kind of three things we want to make sure we do. First, we put in the subject line exactly what's happening, so it can be in the email, very easy to get to. Second, who are you? Where are you from? And what happened in just a few sentences? And three, what are you going to do about it? What have you done about it such that this will be taken care of? Okay. Second part here, I work at a college also. Uh, I can't even get into my own office. Well, technically, I could probably ask security to get into my own office, but for example, our key cards are re-upped every year, and I still have to get my key card re-upped. We don't return until the 2nd of January, right? So technically, the campus is still closed, and I can't get my key card updated before then. So I wouldn't even be able to use my key card to get into my own office, right? In the same way, you're sitting there like, what do you mean you didn't get my transcript? They said they would send them at the end of term, and the end of term is a very different thing for some people and others, okay? And the size of the office that you're working with is also very different at different colleges. If you're talking about an R1 university that has 30 or 40,000 students, you have a tremendous office and all of that. Whereas if you have a small school or a place that is like just a pharmacy school or just a couple of health profession schools, you have a very limited group of people that is going to do that. And they may not come back till closer to when your semester starts again. And for some of you, that semester starts a week earlier than others, way after the residency deadlines. Okay. So let's talk about that one. Subject line, residency applicant, your name, Tony Guerra, delayed transcript. Okay, that's all we need to know, because what we need to do is in some way complete your file so that you don't get rejected simply because your materials were not there. Like, that could never happen. I didn't just go to 3.5 years of pharmacy school to have my application rejected before it was even looked at because my school couldn't get a transcript to them in the required time. Yep, sure could. And if you contact Forecast, they're going to tell you the same thing. They're going to say, look, it's up to the director, it's up to the residency to decide what their policy is. It's their problem, not ours. Okay. So, Dr. Program Director, I requested that my official transcript be sent to Forecasts, and you might, if you want to, like on November 6th. Okay, 2024. You could do that. However, there have been delays with the United States Postal Service. My understanding is that the official transcript has not been received as of today. I've enclosed a copy of my unofficial transcript in lieu as an attachment to this email until the proper documentation can arrive. So what this does is it kind of puts the ball in the residency's court to say, look, we couldn't get the transcript there for whatever reason. Our office is small, and you're not shaming anybody. You're just saying, hey, this thing happened. Okay. And what they can do is they can take a quick look at your transcript and they can make a decision right there. Oh, this is an A student, lots of A's on there. It makes sense. Give them a little break. We would really want to have somebody like this. Or they might look at your transcript and say, you don't even meet our criteria, which is a 3.2. For example, one residency, it's a top residency, only has a 3.2 cutoff. But if you're under the 3.2, it's over. Like, you're not going. But you also don't get any points for being higher than 3.2. It's just okay, did you get a 3.2? Yes. Okay, we value people that have, 3.2, and we're willing to put a 4.0 student on the same level as a 3.2 student afterward. Other places are very different. They're going to use that number to give you points or to not give you points. Okay. But I've enclosed a copy of my unofficial transcript in lieu as an attachment to this email until the proper documentation can arrive. Again, I'm sorry for this inconvenience. And then it's up to them. It's up to them to say, hey, all right, look, you know what? The person was responsible enough to send it on the day. The college was not able to do it. There's nothing they can do over this break, which doesn't end until like the 12th or 13th or whatever it is. And I feel like this is a valuable person. All right, let's take this unofficial transcript. Let's close their file, or let's make sure that, we watch out for them. We give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay. So again, those are two things that are going to be an issue that are going to drive a number of unfortunate situations. And the last thing I want is for you to have spent 2.5 years or 3.5 years in school to have paperwork get in the way of you getting to a residency. It happens, and people know that it happens. But the most important thing, again, is, did you put in the subject line to make it very easy to find you? Okay. Did you articulate what responsibility you took? Like, you did it early. You didn't forget. It just didn't go out, and it's just not going to get there in time. And the application is not complete. And then you're just saying, I would like a little bit of grace in this. And hopefully they give it to you. And to be fair to the programs, you've got like, I won't mention the name, but it's a super top program. It's an ambulatory care program, one of the top ambulatory care programs in the country. Gets so many applications. There are only 4 residents there, and an RPD who is split between 2 residencies. And so they have such a tiny, tiny group that is responsible for dealing with all of these little issues. So you want to make it as easy as you can for them to succeed. Okay. As always, I'm continuing to do the LOI thing. I turn them around in usually less than 24 hours. So if you're just stuck and you're like, oh, why is writing a single page about myself so hard? Well, the first thing is that you are probably very uncomfortable with writing about yourself and writing good things about yourself. And you're trying to get the humble brag out, which is a way of trying to be humble at the same time you're saying all the good things about you. But the thing that you want to do, which is the same thing you want to do in an interview, is get out of your own head and talk about the match. And my favorite way to do this is to look at the rotations and the opportunities that they have. And it should be really clear. And it actually is really clear. Like I can look at a CV and say, that's community, AM care, managed care, acute care. And then I can usually probably narrow it down to like pediatrics, cancer, whatever it is, pretty quickly. And they can too. They've seen hundreds of these. And what you need to do is you need to make sure you apply to the right places where you actually match. And so when you copy your letter of intent from a template and without actually putting in why you guys match, that makes it really, really tough for the place to do what they need to do, and to bring you in for an interview, because you haven't answered the question is why do we match? So what you answered, the question that you answered is, why am I one of the best residency candidates? Yes. But what you need to do is that is incomplete. It is, why am I one of the best residency candidates for this site? Okay. So if you've ever seen the movie A Beautiful Mind, you've got Russell Crowe sitting there and he's at the bar and he's talking about with his friends and they're laughing because he's going to go approach this um, uh, young woman and ask her for a date or whatever. And he crashed and burned earlier. And he talks about Adam Smith and what Adam Smith said, the cardinal rule of economics and so forth. And he said, no. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's incomplete because it's not what's best for me. It's what's best for me and the group. Okay. So what you want is it's what's best for the residency and me, the applicant. So it's what's best for us. And if you're coming from the, I did this, I did this, I did this, and then you put just, not enough information that would clearly say, okay, well, this person really fits. I'm glad they expanded on their CV. Maybe their CV seemed like it was a little more AM care, but now I understand why they're going to acute care. They've got some coming up or something like that. But again, it all comes down to, did you take the time to make sure that you guys match? So I'm doing the letters of intent till probably middle of January. And then again, I always help out in phase 2, which is unfortunately spring break. It's kind of a cruel thing. But at least it gives you some time to take care of it and all that. So TonyThePharmacist@gmail.com, residency.teachable.com for either the free course, use memorizing24 as your password for the $95 coupon. Or if you want to work one-on-one with me, that's fine too. It's all there. Again, I just do this as something that's very satisfying to me. I'm an undergrad in English. That's my background. And it may sound strange for, not to be undergrad biology, then go to pharmacy school. But if you think about it, really, pharmacy has become communication. We're not in the time where the doctor says you don't tell the person anything about this medicine. It's quite the opposite. The law requires that we do it. So a communication degree, an English degree, those types of things actually in some ways I think make a heck of a lot more sense. But again, I'm a big advocate for the liberal arts. All right, well, TonyThePharmacist@gmail.com. Hope you're having a great holiday. Again, I don't take any days off. And I know many of you working at 24-hour stores don't either. So I wish you guys the best.